Friends, this inhuman tragedy happened to a young and beautiful girl because of a psychopath who wasn't happy with her life and who decided to take someone else's life. It's a tragic story, but it will bring tears to your eyes at the end of the film. The realization that there is still kindness, mercy, and support in the world. Hello, my dear viewer. With each new story, I am more and more convinced that despite the pain and grief that the direct participants in the events had to go through, in the hearts of all these people, there remains faith in goodness and undying hope for the future. Today, I want to tell you about the tragedy of two families who faced the most difficult trials, but overcame them with honor and found the strength to continue moving forward. Lauren Landavaso was born on October 14, 2002 in Wichita Falls, Texas, to Verno and Bianca Landavaso. Fotosimi. Friends and family described her as compassionate, kind, and caring. Lauren loved to attract the attention of others, and she managed this with extraordinary simplicity. She had an easygoing personality, was popular among her peers, and had many plans for the future. She started 8th grade at McNeil Middle School in August 2016 and was excited to see her friends after the long summer break. On Friday, September 2, 2016, around 3 p.m., Lauren walked out of the school building and noticed her best friend, Michaela Smith, walking down the path with another girl. Lauren caught up with her peers, and together they went home along their usual route, passing through a narrow alley that was used by many students. On the way, the girls talked about how they had no general classes last school year and hoped that the coming year would give them a lot of new knowledge and impressions. When Lauren had already said goodbye to her friends and was about to turn off to go to her boyfriend's house, an unfamiliar car suddenly stopped next to Michaela. A young man with shaggy brown hair, a large nose, and a pimply face stepped out of the car and met Michaela's gaze for a few seconds. None of the girls understood what was happening. They decided that the young man just wanted to make fun of them in this way, so they ignored him and continued on their way. Suddenly, he opened the back door of the SUV and took the rifle lying on the seat. He pointed the weapon at Michaela, and a second later, the girl felt a burning pain in her chest. She could hardly breathe, but still found strength and rushed towards the dense thickets of bushes. As she ran, branches hit her in the face, legs and arms, and the sound of continued gunfire thundered in her ears. Michaela sat down on the ground and felt hot blood flow down her chest to her stomach. She counted the shots, of which there were 16 in total, and watched what was happening from her hiding place. The girl only saw Lauren's legs, which lay motionless on the ground. Michaela wanted to rush to her friend's aid, but she knew that danger was still close. At first, in a panic, she simply shouted Lauren's name over and over again, and then she pulled herself together, took out her cell phone, and dialed her mother's number. Michaela said Lauren was shot and that she was also wounded. At the same time, dozens of witnesses gathered around Lauren's body and watched in horror what was happening. Most of them were students returning home from school. People from nearby houses ran out into the street and offered their help. An ambulance arrived on the scene within minutes, and word of the shooting quickly spread throughout the city. An acquaintance of Bianca Landavaso told her about the attack on the students, and the woman immediately went to the school where her daughter studied. Michaela remembered the moment when Bianca arrived at the scene of the shooting. She ran out of the car and saw paramedics struggling to save her only daughter's life. A second later, a deafening, chilling scream was heard, shaking all the neighbors nearby. As first responders placed Michaela on a gurney and loaded her into the ambulance, the girl turned to one of the paramedics and asked if Lauren was okay. Just then, she noticed another ambulance, which was loading a gurney with Lauren's body covered with a white sheet. Before Michaela lost consciousness, one last thought flashed through her mind. Please God, let Lauren live. True Landavaso left work immediately after learning of the shooting. He had little understanding of what was happening and tried to convince himself that Lauren would be okay. But Bianca, seeing the state of her daughter's body, knew otherwise. Unfortunately, the worst fears came true. Lauren did not survive her injuries and was pronounced dead at 4:05 p.m., just an hour after she left the school building for the last time. The medical examiner determined that the girl received 14 bullet wounds from a .22 caliber rifle, 2 of which hit the head. According to the coroner, any one of these wounds in itself was fatal, and the killer did not leave Lauren any chance of survival. After questioning Michaela, detectives were able to create a composite sketch of the shooter. And eyewitnesses described in detail the golden SUV in which the criminal fled the scene. Less than 48 hours after the shooting, authorities received information from a local woman who saw her neighbor, 20-year-old Cody Loth, get out of his gold SUV on the day of the attack on the schoolgirls. According to the woman, Cody took a large object wrapped in cloth from the back seat of the car and headed to his apartment located in the Downtown Gate Apartments residential complex. The witness claimed that the young man looked agitated, looked around, and seemed somehow twitchy. He took the unknown object into the apartment, and a few minutes later he went outside again, got into the car, and drove away. Around the same time, a married couple contacted the police station to report a gold SUV that had stopped at a spontaneous memorial erected at the murder site. The officers rushed there in hopes of catching the suspect, and fortunately, they were able to do so. When the patrol officers approached the memorial, the same golden SUV drove out to meet them. Police officers stopped the car and asked the driver for permission to search the car. The interior of the car had recently been completely washed, and in the trunk, officers found a pair of brass knuckles, which at that time were a prohibited weapon in Texas. The young man, who identified himself as Cody Loth, was taken to the police station and charged with possession of a dangerous weapon. After his arrest, he was taken into an interrogation room and asked several questions about the shooting that took place in an alley near McNeil School. Cody denied any involvement and insisted that he knew nothing at all about Lauren's murder. However, after about an hour of interrogation, he began to feel more comfortable and began to talk. According to Cody, one day he saw Lauren from his apartment window and was captivated by her beautiful, icy blue-green eyes. From that day on, he followed her and waited for Lauren to leave school and walk down the alley past the building in which he lived. Cody was so carried away by the 13-year-old girl that one day, when he saw her walking hand in hand with a boy of the same age, he simply went crazy. The young man regarded this as a betrayal and was even more angry because she had a boyfriend and he himself had not dated anyone for a long time. It was at that moment that Cody decided that a complete stranger should regret that he had met on his life's path. Cody has had relationships in the past, but none of them lasted long. Later, the young man admitted to a psychiatrist that deep down he always hated women and wished them harm. He was emotionally immature, selfish, and lived in his own dreams, which eventually drove all the girls away from him. Unable to maintain a healthy relationship, Cody created his own version of reality in which Lauren was the perfect girl, devoted only to him. The day he saw Lauren with her real boyfriend, his delusional fantasies were shattered and he convinced himself that the schoolgirl must pay for cheating. Thinking over a plan for revenge, Cody broke into his stepfather's gun cabinet and took out a rifle from there. He waited for Lauren to appear at the window, and when he saw his friends coming from school, he jumped into his SUV, blocked the girls' path, and opened fire on them. The first bullet hit Michaela, and Cody decided to save the rest for Lauren. During interrogation, he admitted that Michaela managed to survive only because the rifle ran out of cartridges. Otherwise, he would have taken care to get rid of all the witnesses. In conversations with detectives, Cody often patted himself on the back and said that he considered himself a hero for saving Lauren from the difficulties of adult life. In his sick understanding, death at such a young age prevented the schoolgirl's possible meeting with cruel rapists and murderers. He fled the scene immediately after noticing a crowd gathering around. He threw the rifle into the field and later returned for it to quietly put the weapon back in the cabinet. Since he had no actual connections with the victims, Cody sincerely believed that he was in complete security. He completely did not attach importance to the fact that he opened shooting at children among white days. At the end of the interrogation, the detectives asked Cody about the motive of the murder, and he explained that he dreamed of a relationship and considered Lauren an ideal girl. And when he saw that she already had a boyfriend, he decided that if he himself could not be with her, then no one can. According to Cody, That day, his accomplice was the devil himself, who pulled the strings and ordered Lauren to kill, who deserved to receive punishment for betrayal. After such recognition, the officers considered that they heard enough. Cody was charged with the murder of the first degree and attack in aggravating circumstances using firearms. Despite the frank story and recognition of the murder, Cody refused to find himself guilty of both points of charge. Before the trial, he was kept in prison on bail of $4 million. During the investigation, investigators found on a computer and mobile phone Cody an image of minor girls performing sexual actions, so another article was added to all the accusations against him. In addition, the former girl Cody spoke about the incident when, after a quarrel, he tried to strangle her seatbelt. Frightened by her life, the girl stopped relations with an aggressive partner. However, Cody could not leave this just like that. He abducted the girl and her little son, held them for some time, and tortured them. She admitted to the detectives that she did not write a statement to the police only because she was afraid of his revenge. The girl was so scared that she was able to talk about torture only after Cody was arrested. Being a daffodil, Cody did not like the fact that in the news a committed crime was called an act of random violence. He then knew for sure that he had spent several weeks on planning and wanted to get a confession for this. But even despite this desire, Cody continued to insist on his innocence. Familiar Codys described him as a spoiled and prying child who believed that the whole world should obey his desires. He was always hot, tempered, demanded a lot, but did not give anything in return. He always preferred loneliness, was an introvert and social marginal, but at the same time somehow managed to exist normally in human society, balancing on the verge between normal behavior and madness. The first court session was to be held in March 2018. However, due to the unstable psychological state of the Cody, the process was postponed. The young man spent exactly 6 months in a psychiatric hospital, and only after that was recognized as sane and able to appear before the court. The district prosecutor, Maren Shelton, introduced the jury and described the Cody of Lot as a calculating killer who persecuted Lauren for a whole year and ultimately deprived her of life. The defense team, in turn, focused on the mental illness of the accused and claimed that Cody was not able to distinguish good from evil. According to the lawyer, Cody Lot acted under the influence of his internal impulses and could not resist the obsessive thoughts that absorbed his consciousness. The first witness to the rostrum was Michaela. At the time of the testimony, the bullet that Cody released into the girl was still in her body. According to the doctors, over time, the bullet will move to the area where it can be removed more safe, but there is a possibility that the bullet will forever remain in the body of Michaela's as a reminder of the nightmare that she had to face at such a young age. After the girl saw a photograph of the disfigured body of Lauren, she burst into tears so much that her parents had to withdraw their daughter from the courtroom. Throughout the proceedings, Cody remained composure, did not show remorse, and was confident in his impunity. On September 19, 2018, the jury found him guilty of the murder of the first degree, the attack and the spread of erotic images with the participation of minors. He was sentenced to life imprisonment and 20 years in addition. According to the current laws of Texas, Cody will receive the right to parole in 2048 when he turns 52 years old. To honor Lauren's memory and support Michaela's ongoing fight for her health, a statue of a black horse named Forever was placed on the grounds of McNeil High School. Those who knew and loved Lauren thought the memorial was beautiful because she loved animals and especially horses. The unveiling ceremony took place just before graduation, where Michaela spoke accompanied by her father Rodney, a local church pastor. Unfortunately, on October 1, 2020, vandals removed the foundation from the statue and smashed it to pieces. Law enforcement officials quickly found involvement in the destruction of the memorial. The instigator of the crime turned out to be 19-year-old Zachary Kaiser, who acted with the help of his friends Tyler Darland, Dakota James, and Braden Stewart. All those involved were taken into custody and charged with theft and destruction of other people's property. Zachary Kaiser was found guilty and sentenced to pay 400 in restitution and 2 years in prison. However, Lauren's parents asked the judge to overturn the sentence because they believed that outside prison the young man would have a much better chance of redemption. With the help of concerned city residents, Lauren's friends and Landavaso family neighbors, the statue was replaced and installed in its rightful place on May 27, 2021. On June 11, 2019, the state of Texas passed Lauren's Law, which makes the intentional homicide of a minor under the age of 15 a capital offense. The parents of the deceased girl fought tirelessly for several years to protect their children from the fate that befell their daughter. They are convinced that if Lauren ever got to meet Cody face to face, she would be kind to him and show him the respect he never deserved. The Landavaso family mourns the loss of their beloved daughter, whom they affectionately called Pooh Bear, but they hope to find forgiveness and strength in their hearts to move on with their lives. That's all for today. I thank you for your attention and recommend subscribing to the channel and also clicking on the bell so as not to miss new videos that come out daily. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you soon.